All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And want to start off by, of course, welcoming everybody to this presentation of the CAC on mindfulness. And let me go ahead and here we go. Okay, so the title of this presentation is Mindfulness in Me. It's an approach to dealing with stress. And it was, this presentation was, we put out the notice for it yesterday. And so it's really nice to have around 30 people here and, welcome. And I'm really excited to speak on this subject. It's one that's near and dear to my heart. And the implications for its use, I think, are quite vast. And, we've seen some firsthand success in implementing mindfulness in our classroom. I'll tell you a little bit about that, although this isn't necessarily a presentation of what can I do specifically here in my work in the district, but I will touch on that some. Like before we go any further though, once again, if you didn't hear the first time I mentioned this at 6 o'clock, which is this presentation is going to be about an hour, and it will go and at the end there'll be some time for questions. Go ahead and use the chat bar for anything that comes up within the context of or within the flow of this presentation, and we have somebody who's monitoring the chat bar, and I will kind of let me know if things come up. If you have a pressing item for discussion or question during the presentation, that's okay too, and you can definitely ask. Use the chat bar though, because that would be the easiest way to make sure that it gets to me. All right, so mindfulness in me, an approach to dealing with stress. And of course, my name is Nick Bustos. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I work in special education with the behavioral health department. And I've been with the district a little over 5 years, and I really enjoy my job. It's exciting, it's meaningful, it's impactful. And I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. So, what is our purpose here? Why are we here? Why are you here? What is this all about? Well, our purpose is to explore mindfulness, what it is, how it can help, and we're going to be doing some experiential exercises and going to be having some the discussion as mentioned. So my hope is that you are in a comfortable spot where when we get to the experiential portion of it, that you are kind of able to sit quietly and kind of explore this, okay? And once again, I really do thank the CAC for this opportunity, for being with you all, okay? So a little bit about me. Well, I consider myself a person first, and a therapist and an educator a distant second. And like the reason I say that is because being a therapist and being an educator are roles that I play. And it's important that there is a sense of connection between myself and the people that I work with. And if I'm too heavily identified with being a therapist or being an educator, sometimes that can get in the way of really fostering a nice, solid connection with individuals. And so I really like to keep my personhood and my personality and those aspects of me as close to the surface as possible. As I mentioned, I've been with the district for over 5 years, and I work as a therapist in the SEAL program, which stands for Social Emotional Academic Learning. And one of my partners in the program, Veronica Cubis, is here with us, and she's the teacher in the SEAL the program at Temecula Valley High School. And it's a very exciting program. It's a very eventful program. And related to our topic and discussion here, this is a program where we've basically piloted a kind of mindfulness a daily lesson kind of into our program, where every day during fifth period, right after lunch, we engage in some, I'm just letting more people in here. We engage in mindfulness activities with our kids, and it's very helpful. Of course, the idea is to help students self-regulate, to find a sense of calm within, to establish greater clarity of thought, and mindfulness absolutely helps with all of that. Not only that, it's helpful for our teachers, it's helpful for our staff. So it becomes something that the entire program kind of engages in. And we'll be getting much more kind of deeply acquainted with mindfulness. I do want to say that myself, I am a long-time meditation practitioner. And I also kind of guide and coach all kinds of different people, including clients, in my therapy practice through meditation and mindfulness practices. So I have lots of experience with it. The other thing that's also true is that I screw up daily in many different ways. And that makes it so that there's always lots to work on in my own practice. Okay. So that's enough about me. Okay, so let's define our terms. Let's define our terms. What is mindfulness? First of all, thumbs up if you have heard about mindfulness, and if you could use your thumbs up button. Yeah, okay, so I'm seeing some people. Okay, you've heard of mindfulness. Oh, excuse me, let me go back. Thumbs up, okay. Okay, excellent, got some people, fantastic, okay. Now, okay, there's a good amount of folks, great. Now, give me another thumbs up if you are someone who practices mindfulness. Actually practices mindfulness. Okay. Great. I'm just kind of scrolling through the names here. Fantastic. Okay. Awesome. Great. Good. Okay. So then this definition that is here on the PowerPoint isn't necessarily going to be new for you. But for the rest of us, it might be. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness, in one of its simplest definitions, means to be aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and that's in a state of and condition of openness and non-judgment. So it's basically developing and kind of having the felt experience of experiencing yourself, experiencing your thoughts, experiencing your feelings, experiencing your emotions, especially your emotions, from a place of non-judgment, from a place of kind of openness. Okay. All right. And really, what we're talking about is cultivating a state of mind, and we're going to get into why we're cultivating a state of mind. Okay. All right. Now, further, in terms of defining mindfulness, what are we talking about? That mindfulness is a response to mental suffering, and it's an acknowledgement that a large portion of our pain in life results from our perceptions and interpretations of feelings and events, not necessarily the events themselves. So I'll just kind of repeat that. That like mindfulness is a response to mental suffering, recognizing that what we think about stuff, what we think about the things that happen to us in our lives and the suffering like that accompanies it, most of the time it's related to our own perceptions and interpretations of those things. So mindfulness helps us get a sense of what those perceptions and interpretations are, and come to more peace and calm for what our mind is doing, what our mind is saying, what our body is feeling, what our body is saying. Right? Okay. So here's some facts about mindfulness. This is important to understand and to recognize. We have some more folks coming in. So welcome if you're new. That it's important to recognize, because sometimes there's some confusion about this. But mindfulness does not require any allegiance to a particular religious or belief system. Okay, it doesn't. It's simple but not easy. That's also very, very true. I think that's probably why more people don't do it. It does not necessarily require formal meditation, but it can be helpful. Right? And what's also true is that there has been an absolute explosion of mindfulness in our contemporary society, particularly over the last decade, but that had been growing for a couple decades prior to that. Okay. And this is a shot of a program, of a high school program that incorporates mindfulness practices into their curriculum. And welcome if you're just coming in as well. We're just, at this point, still like defining mindfulness. Okay, so I'm going to show a brief video narrated by a wonderful mindfulness and meditation teacher. Her name is Sharon Salzberg. And it's a cute little like animation that kind of speaks to the essence of what we're doing when we're practicing mindfulness. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play it. My hope is that the volume is good, but I'm going to make sure to put the closed captioning on. Okay.
There's a story, usually attributed to the Native American tradition, which illuminates different ways of paying attention. An elder, talking to a child, says, "I have two wolves fighting in my heart. One wolf is fearful, vengeful, envious, resentful, and deceitful. The other wolf is compassionate, loving, generous, truthful, and peaceful." The child asks, "Which wolf will win the fight?" The elder responds, "The one I feed." That doesn't mean we try to deny or hurt or kill the angry wolf. If we did that, we'd end up in a long battle, all the while somehow making that wolf more powerful through our hostility and fear. Hating that wolf sucks the strength right out of us. Instead, we calmly pay attention to the angry wolf and let go of believing they have the answers. If we can do that, they end up lying down next to us, no longer an enemy. We help strengthen the kind and loving wolf, giving it nourishment and support so that we can follow it. That peaceful wolf can become our steady companion and show us the way through all kinds of different life experiences. Restful or chaotic, enjoyable or disappointing experiences may come and go, but we can have a guide with us through it all. This is what mindfulness can help you do. Mindfulness allows us to see our thoughts and feelings as they are beginning. It's very powerful to know what we're feeling as we're feeling it, know what we're thinking as we're thinking it. With mindfulness, We can choose what will strengthen and bring into action, and we can choose what we will gently let go of. We don't have to be at the mercy of old habits or old ways of thinking or old ways of being. We are empowered. It just takes practice.
All right. So thumbs up if you thought that video was rather adorable. Good. Yeah, and it makes the point, right? Makes the point in a very, very simple terms. Oh, look at all those thumbs up. You guys are great. You guys are indulging me. Wonderful. Okay. Um, so that's kind of the idea. And so let's kind of go further into it, right? Let's go further into it, shall we? Oops, nope, not watch it again. Go further into it. Okay. All right. What are we doing when we practice mindfulness? What's going on in the mind? What's going on in the mind? What's going on in the body? Okay, let's briefly talk about the autonomic nervous system. Okay. Thumbs up if you've heard about the autonomic nervous system, a little bit of what it does, and right. Okay. Yes, yes. The autonomic nervous system is basically the part of our nervous system that is in charge of keeping us safe, and that is in charge as well to regulate our systems, of getting us calm. Oops. Getting us calm and relaxed. Okay. The autonomic nervous system can roughly be divided into two sides. Two sides. So if you see my cursor, one side is the sympathetic nervous system. The other side is the parasympathetic nervous system. And if you look at the graphic on the right here, the sympathetic nervous system, what does it do? It gets the body ready, prepares the body for intense physical activity. You might have heard this term, flight or fight. Who's ever been chased by a dog? Give me some thumbs up here. Chased by some kind of angry animal. Like, who's ever been chased by an angry animal? Terrible experience. That's not the kind of human experience people like to have, right? Not fun. What got you the heck out of wherever you were to safety, running away as fast as your little legs could carry you, was your sympathetic nervous system. You sense danger, dog is coming after you, I'm getting the heck out of here, boom, gone. Thank your sympathetic nervous system for that. During that time that you were being chased by the dog, your pupils expanded so that you can take in more of the environment. Your breathing became fast and shallow, getting you ready to behave and to act physically. Your heart started pumping faster. You no longer were digesting because your body says, I have to conserve my internal resources to run as fast as I possibly can. So you're no longer like digesting. You're no longer doing kind of any other non-essential body tasks. Okay. When you finally calm down from the dog or whatever llama chasing you, your parasympathetic nervous system kicked back on and your pupils shrank again. You started breathing. Your heart started slowing down and you were able to finish digesting that corn dog that you had right before the dog started chasing you. Okay. If you look at this graphic, the parasympathetic nervous system relaxes the body and inhibits or slows many of the high energy functions. One of the ways you can think about it is it's the rest and digest system. The parasympathetic nervous system, that's the system that we're kind of accessing when we practice mindfulness. We're consciously activating our ability to calm the body, to get the body in a restful state. Okay. All right. So, what are some other like benefits of mindfulness? Let's kind of expand on this a little bit, right? Mindfulness has been shown to positively impact physical health. There's been wonderful studies showing that it can reduce physical pain, chronic pain, gastrointestinal functioning. So, like people that have chronic stomach problems find relief. Lots and lots of studies showing that mindfulness is helpful with emotional problems, decreasing anxiety, depression, moods, stress, etc. Right? It can help with your interpersonal functioning, work relationships, marital relationships, relationships with your children, relationships with other people's children if you're a teacher. Psychological functioning, where it can enhance your ability to concentrate, your resilience, can improve your sense of self. Okay. And what is wonderful about mindfulness is that there's been lots and lots of studies, lots and lots of serious research that has gone kind of into this practice and what it can do for the human mind and the human physiology. Okay. Briefly, let's talk about something that some scientists have discussed and that have kind of brought into modern cognitive neuroscience research, right? So kind of research in terms of the brain and thinking. Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of the default mode network. And it's totally okay if you haven't. I'm just curious. Okay. All right. Okay. Default mode network is basically, so if you can look at these two graphics, the one on the right is an fMRI scan. The one on the left is another type of brain scan. And what those images are scanning are specific parts of the brain that are responsible or that are correlated with our sense of self. So it's kind of like the center of our self. It's the parts of the brain that are activated whenever we have a memory from the past, whenever we think about the future, like, okay, this is something that I want to do. I have a plan to, have this kind of job in 5 years, or this is something that I want for my children in the future, etc. General thoughts about myself, like, oh, kind of looking in the mirror. When you stumble out of bed, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh God, who is that? What am I looking at that? Your own stories of who you think you are, who you believe you are. Like, I'm this kind of person. This is where I come from, and this is how I identify myself. And this is my story. This is my personal narrative. This is what I need. This is what I like. I enjoy chocolate ice cream. I don't enjoy vanilla ice cream. These places in the brain is where the center, like, is where that default mode network, like me, myself, and I, is correlated with. What's fascinating is that, and I'll get into a study here in just a minute, that what people have found, what researchers have found, is that the more you are spending time in the default mode network, in me, myself, and I, the more unhappy you are. The less time you spend with the default mode network, the more peaceful you are. Now, that seems strange, right? So it's almost like the idea, like, there's less of myself, there's more peace. Well, yeah, that's kind of the implications, right? What studies have found, specifically with people who are depressed, is that people who are depressed are thinking about themselves constantly, not necessarily in a conceited or kind of, bragging sort of way, but just thinking about themselves and their problems and what they're worried about and what they don't like about themselves and their feelings of self-worth. So you're thinking about yourself all the time, but you're kind of individuals that are in that state are feeling really bad. The more you think about yourself, the worse you feel. Mindfulness is one way of reducing this experience of what's called selfing. Kind of lends credence to the idea where you recognize, you're like, oh my gosh, again, all the problems I've ever had, there's one common denominator, me. My thoughts, what I think. I'm basically the problem here. And if you can say that with the giggle, you're on your way to being more peaceful. Okay, so let's briefly define some suffering. A couple definitions, okay? The mind, thinking about the past or worried about the future, that's suffering. So if you're thinking about the things that have gone wrong in your life, if you're focused and perseverating on the things that are going wrong or that went wrong, you're going to be suffering. If you're worried about what's going to happen, what might not happen, what's likely going to happen, if you're persistently thinking about the future, always in the future, you're suffering. Here's another definition. The experience of pain plus resistance. So what does that mean? Okay, for instance, pain might be the experience of getting a bad grade on a test. You get a bad grade on a test, you feel bad because you got the bad grade, and resisting it might take the form of perhaps not taking responsibility for your grade, might take the form of denying or minimizing your grade, but basically not acknowledging that it's there. And that will lead to suffering, because basically you'll be kind of blocking off from what your experience. The other thing, in a more physical way, if you get hurt, if your back gets hurt, if your knee gets hurt, if you get a cut, and you begin telling and weaving long stories and tales about your pain or your injury, now you're suffering. Now you've gone beyond just being in pain to suffering about the pain that you're feeling. And that's a mental experience. Suffering is a mental experience. Pain is a bodily experience. Suffering is what we bring to it, how we interpret it. Okay. Now, I wanted to bring your attention to an interesting study that was done on 2,000 people by some research scientists by the name of Killingsworth and Gilbert. Okay. They created a novel iPhone app to randomly contact over 2,000 subjects during the day to ask 3 simple questions. Now, these are the questions. How are you feeling right now? What are you doing right now? And are you thinking about something other than what you're currently doing? So what they were hoping to assess is a real-time assessment of where these people's minds were and are. Okay. Now, these were the ultimate findings. These were the ultimate findings. Okay, I'm going to go to the next page here. They found that most people were doing anything in terms of their thinking than thinking about the thing that they were doing right then and there in terms of their work or whatever the other task was. Most were thinking about the past or the future. And most people who were thinking about the past or thinking about the future were not happy. And it didn't matter what they were doing. If they were doing a seemingly a pleasurable thing like taking a break or going on a walk, relaxing outside on a lounge chair. If the people were thinking about something in the past or thinking about something in the future, they were suffering. If they were doing what they thought was a boring job, but they were thinking about the past or thinking about the future, they were suffering. It didn't matter what they were doing. If they were not focused on what was happening right in the moment, they were suffering. Conversely, like the individuals who were focused on the task at hand, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, felt better. And that doesn't matter whether they were doing something, quote, relaxing, or doing something that is deemed boring or laborious. So this is their conclusion. This is a very important study. It's a good study. Okay. It is, in conclusion, a human mind is a wandering mind. So most people's minds were wandering. And a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. The ability to think about what is not happening, like, is a cognitive achievement that comes at an emotional cost. So they're kind of making the argument that, like, human beings, we have developed this very sophisticated capacity for thinking about things that aren't happening. So you might be in this presentation right now and participating in this presentation, but your mind might be somewhere else, might be thinking about dinner, thinking about what you just had, thinking about your kids, thinking about what you want, like thinking about what pissed you off a little bit earlier. That actually, like, being able to do that shows a high level of sophistication. That's something that's kind of exclusive to human minds. But Killingsworth and Gilbert say that that's a cognitive achievement, like that's an ability that comes in emotional cost, because the more we do that, like the more we're in a state of mind where we're focusing on what's not happening right here and now, the worse we feel. Pretty good study, right? Okay. So then here's a simple truth. Simple truth is this. Oops. The simple truth is that to become more present to our stress, frustrations, and anxiety, that's to begin to form a new relationship with ourselves. And this is what mindfulness can help with. And this is especially the case in our lives and in our work. As educators, as family members, in whatever role that we're playing, in whatever context or setting, which we know can be immensely challenging and usually brings up some of the most powerful emotions like we have. So what we're talking about is mindfulness is one way, and there's many like different ways, but we're talking about mindfulness here. Mindfulness is one way that we can cultivate and form a new relationship with ourselves, with, instead of getting carried away by our negative emotions when they come up, we can actually observe them, recognize that they're coming up, look at them, kind of gently make contact with them, breathe through them, and not have to be carried away. Okay. And like what are the risks of stress? What are the risks of getting carried away by our emotions perpetually? Well, burnout's a major risk. Burnout's a serious, major risk for you educators, for parents, for kind of people who work in all kinds of settings of kind of all types. And like, what is burnout? Let's define it. If you've ever felt emotionally, or if you feel emotionally drained, if you just feel fatigued about the prospect and the thought about facing another day at work, feeling like you're at the end of your rope, feeling lethargic or tired, feeling like you're not helping, like the sense of your self-efficacy starts to go down, feeling like you're emotionally on the brink all the time, or if you feel like you're kind of interacting with others robotically because you just can't give anymore, you know, like little Timmy comes up and asks you for something and you're like, yeah, whatever, Timmy. And you just feel like you can't connect with Timmy anymore because you're so exhausted. It's not because you're a bad person. Like you might be burnt out, you know, becoming more callous. Again, just kind of establishing a wall like between you and the world because you just feel like you can't carry anymore. Feeling like a job is robbing you of who you are. Sometimes not really caring, or feeling a tremendous sense of guilt, like, you know, everything is my fault. You know, especially in these times where things are so uncertain, things can be so like difficult. You know, the experience of burnout is a very, very real threat. It's a total bummer. It can make us not perform and live as kind of optimally as we might otherwise. So this forces us to ask this question, forces us to ask like this question of self-care. Self-care. What do I need? What do I need? No. Go ahead and mute.
H106, Captain Pierce, can I help you?
If
Yes.
you just answered the phone, could you please mute?
Engines in quarters, trucks in quarters, lots in quarters. Awesome, thank you. Bye.
Okay. For whoever's phone just rang, would you mind please muting your mic? Okay. Oh, you know what? I guess I could have muted everybody myself. Okay, that's okay. All right. So this is about kind of asking that question: what do I need? What does this physical, emotional, social body need? Like, do we ask that question of ourselves enough as parents, as educators, as administrators? Do we ever just take a minute to just breathe, just sit with ourselves and ask, what do I need? You know, maybe you can even just take a breath right now. And that's okay, I'm not even looking at you. But just see if you can just take a breath and just silently ask yourself that question, like, what do I need? When's the last time you even asked yourself that question? Right? You know, and the answers might surprise you. Now, as parents, as educators, as people who lived with parents ourselves or caregivers of any type, many people, many people, especially women, there is a stigma, and I got nothing against guys, but you know, women carry a heavy load in our society. It's a silent, heavy load. And I know that through my practice and just through my work and kind of research, that there can be a stigma, a self-stigma against self-care. And I think there's much more awareness about that stuff lately, and I'm so glad. And I'm not saying men don't experience this too, of course they do. But there can be this stigma, this judgment against self-care, where there's thoughts where like I shouldn't take time for myself, where there's just almost this natural aversion that I should not take time for myself. So somehow it just feels wrong. I shouldn't do it, or I don't deserve to take care of myself, or even the thought of, you know, like everything will fall apart if I don't just keep going and pushing and pushing. Or this other thought like I need to be the one who carries it all. Or even something related to how we were raised, you know, like my mother, my father, my grandparents, my caregivers. I mean, they never had to take care of this. Like they never thought about taking care of themselves. Why should I? You know, some of our own programming. So there can be some very real blocks against self-care. Very real blocks. Okay, so we're moving into now the experiential portions of our talk here, of our presentation. So mindfulness. Now let's get back and define some of the mechanics here. Okay, we know that through mindfulness, what we're trying to do is to kind of cultivate a state of calm, a state of awareness, of observation, recognizing what's happening, what's going on in me, and breathing through it. And just through that process, our stress and anxiety and negative feelings will kind of automatically begin to decrease. So we're talking about the ability to listen to my thoughts, listening to what my internal dialogue is, the ability to feel my body's internal movements. Like what's happening in me? Oh, my stomach is kind of grumbling, or my heart feels heavy, or I feel kind of the weight of the world on my shoulders. Followed by the willingness to not change. This is really important, to not change, judge, or fix what's going on inside me. And through that, we're locating what I like to call the quiet center on the inside. This place within, almost like the eye of a hurricane. It's like the eye of a storm, where there's quiet, where there's peace, where there's rest. And recognizing that we all have that, okay? And through this, we're bringing awareness to our personal subjective experience. My mind is racing. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling nervous. My heart hurts. My heart is heavy. My body feels like it's on fire. Naming it, understanding it, feeling it. Because with more awareness, there's a decreased identification with negative emotional content. And through that, there's healing. Very simple equation. You bring more awareness to what's going on inside of you. You're automatically, through that process, decreasing your identification with yourself through the default mode network. And now there's a sense of healing, feeling more restored, more whole. Okay. All right. So, does anybody have any questions, like before we go into some practice? And we're going to do 3 short little mindfulness practices. Okay. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you're still with me. Okay, see some thumbs up. Fantastic. All right, got some people with me. Great, fantastic, guys. We're doing good. And I've been doing a lot of talking, so now I'm going to be doing not so much talking. Okay, so I'm going to guide us through 3 mindfulness exercises, okay? And they're going to be quite simple. And the things are going to kind of build on themselves, okay? And to those of you, let's see. To those of you just joining, welcome, welcome. We're just moving into our practice portion of this presentation, okay? First one is going to be something called belly breath. And I'm going to guide you all through it. And I'm going to do it myself, okay? I have this nice graphic here on the screen to kind of inspire us towards mindfulness. So this is the first thing I'm gonna ask you to do as far as mindfulness practice now. I'm gonna invite you just to go ahead and just take a long, slow, deep breath in. Let yourself get comfortable in your chair. When you're ready, when you feel comfortable, when it's right for you, go ahead and close the eyes, if that's comfortable for you. Just go ahead and notice your feet on the ground. We're going to practice something called a belly breath. But before we do that, what I'd like you all to do is just do a quick kind of body scan assessment for how your body feels right now. Do you feel any the tension or tightness maybe in your shoulders or in your chest or in your stomach? Maybe your legs or your arms, your neck. Just go ahead and notice that. And then we're going to check again what your experience is like after we do these belly breaths. And so the way we do a proper belly breath is we deeply inhale through our diaphragm. And this might seem a little funny at first. And so just do a kind of brief practice one. And so what I mean by this is when you take a deep breath, when you're breathing in, see if you can expand your belly, kind of like a beach ball or like a balloon. So that you're not kind of lifting up your chest and your shoulders as you're taking a deep breath, like one of these things, like that. No. You're not doing that. You're really just letting your belly expand as you breathe in. So you're almost kind of like pushing your belly out as you breathe in. Just try that. Like it might be kind of strange or uncomfortable if you're not used to doing that. Maybe you're used to kind of sucking in your belly all the time, which many of us are. So just go ahead and see if you can, now that you get the hang of it a little bit, see if you can take just one long, slow, deep belly breath. Just expand it out. And just let it go. Take another long, slow, deep breath, deep belly breath, expanding your belly out. Let it go. We'll do 3 more. Another long, slow, deep belly breath. See if you can expand even deeper now. Two more. Long, slow, deep breath in. Last one. Now make it the biggest one. Long, slow, deep breath in. Really expand your belly out. And just let it go. Just go ahead and keep your eyes closed. What I'd like you to do now is just feel into your body now. See if you can reassess some of those places that were tense or tight. Just notice, how does it feel now? Has there been any change? What was that like for you? Just assess in your mind, what that was like for you. Okay. Now, give me thumbs up if you felt anything during those 5 breaths. Okay, we got some people. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Thumbs up if there was a reduction or if there was a change in whatever feeling of tension you might have felt at the beginning. Okay, I'm kind of scanning, getting some thumbs up. Okay, nice. And it's totally okay if there wasn't any change. Very, very nice. Yeah, and you can comment too in the chats. I can hold it back too. Yeah. Calmer breathing, yes, indeed. Okay. 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 Great. Let's see, got some more chats here. Feeling a little less tense. Oh, fantastic. Great. More relaxed, calmer breathing. Okay. Good. So now let's try our next one, shall we? This one is called inner energy. Okay. So let's go ahead, and I brought out my little meditation bowl too. And so when we're done with this one, I'll kind of ring the bowl. So go ahead and get comfortable again. And just see if you can, again, ground down. If your feet are on the ground, just really notice what it feels like for your feet to be planted on the ground. Go ahead and take another long, slow belly breath. Really imagine yourself sinking into your chair or wherever you're sitting, resting your palms in your lap or wherever is comfortable. Maybe letting your shoulders drop, letting go of any places that are tight or tense. And what I'd like you to do is see if you can feel into the experience of your body. Almost kind of scan what's happening inside your body. There are millions of kind of electrochemical processes happening in your body at any given time. And if you let yourself kind of feel into your experience, you can almost get a sense of your body's kind of energy, its own kind of energy. Just get a sense for the energy of your body inside of your heart area. Get a sense of feel into and observe what's going on inside your legs, your feet. Sometimes things feel like they're moving. Sometimes things might feel like they're stuck. But we all have a very subtle energy that moves through our body all the time. Just observe what's happening in your body. And even your thoughts are a type of energy. It's like a highway, things moving back and forth. And just see if you can observe that. Not necessarily as thoughts, but almost like a current of energy moving back and forth. Just let yourself feel it. You're not fixing anything. You're not changing anything. And you're just letting what's there come up. Becoming mindful what's happening inside of you right now. Maybe it kind of feels like a slight vibration or a buzz or an inner movement. Whatever it is, don't judge it. Even if it feels a little uncomfortable, just let it be. Just kind of let yourself flow with it. Nice and easy. Stay here for just another moment. When I ring my bowl, you go ahead and open your eyes. Okay. Just notice how your body and mind is feeling. I think we had. Okay. Somebody raised their hand, but before we go there, thumbs up if you were. That one was a little bit more vague and kind of nebulous, right? But kind of thumbs up if you felt like you were able to kind of get a sense of your own inner energy, whatever that's like for you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay. Now we had somebody raise their hand, and it's somebody with the initials EIR. I will unmute you. You have a question? Do you have a question, EIR? No? Okay, that might have been a mistake. Okay. All right. Okay. We got something in the chat box here. Everything slowed down in my body during that exercise. Ah, yes. Yes, that's a wonderful point, Joanna. Thank you for that. When you become mindful, when you become mindful, like when you really have developed a state of mindfulness inside of you, things slow down. Things slow down. And when things are slowed down, you can observe them much more easily. That's what we're talking about, right? That's like we're talking about rest and digest. observing, taking some time to really observe. Okay, so let's do our final meditation. Okay, this is our making contact meditation. Okay, and I'll explain what it is. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to identifying, and we're not doing it yet. I'll kind of guide you through it again. We're going to go back to that idea of a place of discomfort inside of our body. Okay, so I'm going to kind of guide you through that. We're going to identify a place of discomfort, and then we're going to do something very specific with that feeling of discomfort, and just kind of experiment and see what happens. Okay, and then we'll get a little feedback afterwards. Okay, so let's go back in. It's kind of like we're explorers, right? We're going back into the ocean of our mind. So go ahead again, one last time. Gently close your eyes if you're comfortable. Rest your feet flat on the ground. Take a long, slow, deep breath in to facilitate calming your body. Sink into your chair. Just letting yourself be. You don't have to force yourself to be still. You just have to allow yourself, not change anything, not fix anything. Just kind of setting aside any agenda for anything to be different right now. See if you can take another long, slow, deep breath in. Feeling your feet rooted. Feeling your back rested. Relaxing your shoulders. Maybe loosening your jaw. And so what I'm going to invite you to do now is kind of go back into your body and see if you can find a place in your body where there's discomfort. Maybe pain or a dull ache. Something specifically in your body. You know, maybe your stomach is feeling a little anxious or queasy. And maybe your heart feels like there's a knot in it. You know, maybe your back feels like it's kind of tense or something. Maybe your neck or your throat feels like there's discomfort or a lump, or your arms or your head. Just find one place in your body where you're feeling discomfort. Just let that come up. Just fully allowing it to come up. You're just observing it. Now what I'm going to invite you to do, if it's comfortable for you, this can be very effective. Go ahead and see if you can put your right hand on your heart area, just right in the middle of your chest. You can gently rest your fingertips in the middle of your chest. Just notice what it feels like to rest your fingertips on your chest. It can be a kind of a gentle, calming and soothing feeling. Maybe it's uncomfortable for you if you're not used to it. It's okay, just hang in there. And so see if you can now, observing yourself, almost make contact in your mind with that place of discomfort or pain or whatever is coming up. Very simply, just letting that pain be, kind of while you're making contact with yourself. And I notice what notice what happens as you just let that place of discomfort be and you're kind of making contact with it. Maybe it starts to shift. Maybe it starts to move. Maybe you start feeling a warm sensation. Just notice what happens in your body as you kind of make contact with yourself. Remember, this is about being very gentle and easy, not forcing anything on yourself, just observing, just watching, becoming very mindful. It's all we're doing. All we're doing is just observing and noticing, being mindful. Maybe go ahead and take a deep breath in. Just letting yourself be with that discomfort. Not changing that discomfort. This might be very foreign, but that's okay. It's good to try new things. Just going to rest here just another few moments. Just see what happens as you just kind of sit with that discomfort, whatever it is. Okay, so gently return. Okay. Okay, now on that last one, thumbs up if you had an interesting experience, or, if you felt like you were able to kind of feel into your discomfort. Nice, nice. Thumbs up if that was like a very strange and weird or unpleasant experience. Yeah. Yes. Oh, okay. Veronica says that the tension in shoulders is gone, needs a nap. Yeah. And for some, yes, it can be a strange experience getting in contact with the parts, with any parts that are uncomfortable or have discomfort. Okay. All right. So that's the idea, right? I really, oh, Suzanne Jewell says it was not unpleasant. It actually seemed to decrease the part that was uncomfortable. Oh, very nice. Very nice. It can definitely do that. And it's important to recognize that not everything works for everybody. Okay, hang on a sec. But, you know, the idea is that through mindfulness, we're actually establishing that we're creating some real effects in our mind and in our body. That is the idea, right? Does anyone else have any like feedback for those 3 exercises? Anyone want to talk about, you know, what their favorite one was, or what they liked least about it? You know, negative feedback is important too. Not that it's negative, but I'm just saying, kind of feedback where maybe you felt uncomfortable or something is totally okay too. All right. Okay. For Joanna, it says that the exercises prove how powerful mindfulness can be. Highly effective. Okay, good. Yeah, it takes practice. Yes, it definitely takes practice. It definitely takes practice. It takes a willingness to kind of go inside, you know. But it's also wonderful in. Okay, Marty says. Marty says, are you supposed to do the exercises at the end of the day or at a certain time? Really great question. That's an excellent question, Marty. Now, for some people that have a formal mindfulness or meditation practice, sometimes you do it in the morning and then at night, you know, and that's kind of a traditional formal way of doing it. It can be as little as like 3 minutes in the morning, 3 minutes at night. You're just sitting there, kind of maybe doing your breaths. Some people do a lot longer, you know, it just depends. What is important to recognize though is that you can have a mindful moment at any time. So if you feel tense, something comes up, something's on your mind, something kind of hits you from the back of nowhere, or I mean the back of your head that comes out of nowhere. You always have available to you the ability to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, just by taking a big belly breath. Oh my gosh, I just heard news that is kind of messing with me, and oh geez, I just watch the news again. Take a deep breath. Decreased, right? Yeah. Okay. Ooh, so Joanna is discussing a wonderful app that you can download for free. It's called Sandvelo. Well, just so happens, Joanna, that this next slide is about mindfulness tools. There are actually very helpful, you know, apps and resources. Calm.com is a very popular and good one. But you know, all these are very good, very well done, where, you know, you put your headphones in and somebody with the soothing voice kind of runs you through the exercises, and very helpful. Some of them are free, some of them are free to a point, and then others have more kind of options, you know, if you have a subscription or something like that. In terms of books or resources, one book that I definitely recommend is a book called Wherever You Go, There You Are. And it's by a guy named John Kabat-Zinn, who was really responsible for a big portion of the mindfulness-based stress reduction movement that is now proliferating in our society. And his book is just fantastic. It's very easy to read. It's like each chapter is like a poetic prose section. It's very good. Another book that is very helpful, not specifically on mindfulness, but it's a good book about kind of questioning and finding peace in your mind. And this book is called Loving What Is by a lady named Byron Katie. She has a fascinating story, very worthwhile. Okay. This is what the calm.com app looks like. This is what it looks like here. So it's very easy to navigate, and like look how soothing it is. We have this. We use this app in our SEAL program at the school district, or in our program, pretty much every day. And that's because they have free resources for educators. So if you are an educator, look into what they can offer you as an educator for free. And especially during the time of COVID, they're also offering a lot of cool stuff. Okay. All right. So, we're coming to the end here. And, it's important, like the whole idea of this is to recognize that we are the instrument. And the more we approach our students and our tasks and our families and our situations and whatever comes up for us with increasing levels of mindfulness, that will help us, and it'll help the team, and it'll help, most importantly, our students and our children. Yes, I can definitely share that YouTube video, absolutely. And it's important to recognize that kindness and gentleness are the most important traits to have in this process. Things are obviously can be very difficult and can get very dark. We all know that, right? And this is our final slide here, which is, healing happens. We facilitate healing when pain is met with acceptance and love. That's basically what mindfulness is. It allows us to meet whatever's coming up in us with acceptance and love. And when we can be present, fully present, naturally acceptance and love kind of emerges. And I love this quote by a personal hero of mine, Rilke, the wonderful writer and poet from the early 20th century. And he writes in his famous book, Letters to a Young Poet, which I recommend to anybody who wants to read something beautiful and inspiring. He says, "Perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses who are only waiting to see us act, just once, with beauty and courage. Perhaps everything that frightens us is, in its deepest essence, something helpless that wants our love." So notwithstanding the sexist overtones, kind of get the idea, right? Okay. Yeah, so questions, good, great questions. So now's the time for questions if you have them. Is there a website or an app for mindfulness and calm that would be good for teenagers? Yeah, definitely. So I'll just go back a couple slides. This one right here, calm.com, is very good. There's specific ones, specific meditations for teenagers. Definitely. Okay. There's also a mindfulness for children online resource. Another app that is good for kids is Headspace. So if you see my cursor here, really a good one. Okay. And you can also type in mindful.org, and there's lots of resources there that you can check out. So there's lots of good stuff out there. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have any other questions or anything else they want to share or contribute? Oh, well, thank you for being here, Tara. Oh, thank you, Amy. Okay. All right. Okay, very nice. So absolutely, it's my pleasure. So yeah, so it looks like there's not much more to say, and I thank everybody for being here. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at nbustos@tvusd.us. Um, yes, absolutely. Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm glad. And we will be posting this to the CAC website tomorrow. It's absolutely my pleasure. This is a fun thing to talk about. All right, everyone. So I'll be hanging around for another few minutes, but I will see you. I'll see you sometime soon, hopefully. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Nick, did you want to stop recording?
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. I'll stop sharing. Okay. Yes, sounds great. Good ideas. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff out there. Mindfulness is not the only one.